Hello world, it's Austin. We're going to talk about being transgender and Christian, but also not being transgender and Christian, I guess. So I'm here today with my two friends. This is Matthias Roberts and this is Kevin Garcia, and we're going to talk a little bit about gender presentation and the way that we think about our gender, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys. Matthias, can we talk a little bit about you, so how do you identify with your sexual orientation and with your gender identity, and how would you give what kind of words would you give to your gender expression?
Cis gay male. That's something that I've never actually really questioned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no, I'm cis. I know it, and here
I
am.
You're a dude?
Just
I'm
a dude being a dude. Dudes being dudes.
That's the title of this video. Dudes being dudes.
But my gender expression, that's something that has always kind of thrown me for a loop.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was a kid, the first insults I remember, literally, and this was a trauma story that I shared with my therapist once,
yeah.
and I've worked through it, but one of my first ever memories of bullying was my best friend at the time, when I was in first grade, saying to me, "You walk like a girl." And from that point forward, the amount of shame that came out of that point forward, I put so much effort into the way that I walk, the way that I dress, the way that I talk, but no matter what I could do, no matter what, summer camp, almost anywhere I went growing up, I was met with, "You walk like a girl, you talk like a girl, what's wrong with you?" And I thought there was something wrong with me, because of course, when you're being enculturated as a male, the worst thing you can be is female.
Right.
And
the patriarchy.
Yeah. But then I started realizing oh, I'm gay. And that didn't take much to figure out. But since then, I've started playing a little bit more and starting to accept the parts of myself that I had kind of rejected, and realized there are definitely more feminine parts in my presentation. I definitely present as masculine, but try to queer it and bring in a lot of feminine aspects as well. And that's something that I love playing with.
I think that's I was talking with my friend Lisa Kenny, who works with Gender Spectrum in the Bay Area, and Lisa was talking about how the very first instances of bullying we see in kids, we think about it a lot of times as bullying gay kids, but it's not really sexuality based, because we're young kids, we don't really know. It's usually gender based bullying, and what your gender presentation looks like. And so that's a really common story, I think. So how do you feel you balance your identity as a guy, as male, and the presentation that you might give to the world? How do you balance those things so that it feels right to you?
So you saw me today, I was wearing a pair of heels about that big, pumps, and that's the only pair that I own, but I bring them out every once in a while.
That's true.
I love wearing those.
Yeah.
And they hurt my feet. But I love wearing those, and I feel I have a bit of privilege to be able to live in a city like Seattle, of where I can walk around and play with whatever I want to play with, and still feel relatively safe. I've never...
Do you ever feel unsafe and nervous about it?
Well, sometimes. There are times when I'm walking home at 3 a.m. and I'm is this safe? But I've never felt threatened, and I realize that is a huge privilege.
So how do you think, if you, throughout your own experience, if you had a piece of advice to help people feel confident about standing out and being different and expressing themselves in a different way, how did you get that confidence for yourself?
Oh, I was terrified. The first time I ever actually wore those heels was to Kevin and I led a workshop at a gay Christian conference in Pittsburgh 2 years ago. I bought those heels for that conference. And
that's right.
I was so scared to wear them. And there are still days that I don't feel confident in them. There are days that I'll pull them out and I'm I can't wear these today. I don't feel comfortable wearing these today. I want to look more mask. I want to whatever. And then there are other days where I'm no, I'm going to rock this. First day of school, when all the conservative new people are coming into my school, I rock those things like crazy because I love the looks. I'm welcome to the Christian school that you're going to.
Right, we're going to let you know how we play around here, y'all.
But it's one of those things, I have to choose to do it, and then I kind of have to pump myself up. But then once I'm out there and actually doing it, like, you just gotta own it.
Yeah.
Like, you just gotta own it. You gotta make those choices, and then you just go for it. And, like, I know that's probably not the best advice of, like,
no, I think
just own it.
Yeah, no, but I think there's something to be said for, there's a lot to be said for cisgender people who are willing to play with their gender presentation in order to make it less of a weird thing, like in order to make it more of the norm, so that people who are gender non-conforming in some way, in any way, or people who are trans or non-binary feel like they don't run such a huge risk because it's normal. Everybody is like playing with their gender in different ways, and the way that they express that gender, and like, so I think it's really helpful, especially for men, to be able to put themselves in that position, because like it's tough, especially because there's such a pressure around masculinity to like man up and be tough and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But like you're being able to let that go a little bit for the sake of maybe empowering other people who are like, I can't believe he's doing that. I want to be able to do that too, you know? Kevin, I want to talk to you about your gender feelings.
I'm ready. I can do this.
You can do it.
I'm a brave human.
Yeah, you can do it. So we've been talking a little bit about, like, as you've been thinking more about gender, what are the questions that come up in your mind when you think about gender for you?
Okay, so I came out 2.5 years ago as gay, as a gay man, because it was just like the closest word that aligned with like what I was experiencing at the time, and it was like the thing that was so suppressed that needed to have the greatest voice at the time.
Yeah.
And I think in the 2.5 years that I've been out of the closet, having the space and the support to kind of explore more of what my queer identity looks like has allowed me to, ask greater questions, and also like being kind of like immersed within like the LGBTQ community in Atlanta where I live. I've noticed a few things. Gay cis males, like, they love to flock together sometimes. And that's not a knock to like that kind of like amazing friendship, because like having like your crew is like amazing. For me, however, like sometimes sitting in a room of like just cis gay males doesn't always feel quite comfortable to me, because of white supremacy, and because of patriarchy, we have like this like idea of like, this is what a man looks like, period.
Right.
And it's
I hear you get that a lot on like dating apps. Like, I'm not on dating apps right now, but I know that like folks, they look for people with a certain body type that is more masculine, and so not everybody is into people who do play with their gender.
Yeah, so like me having, I paint my nails every now and again, and it's something I'm trying to do more often, because it's kind of like what you said. It's like, I like being more visibly queer, and that's another thing. Like with my hair, like when I decided to color it for the first time, I went like electric purple, and for me, even though like, you can like almost like look at me and say like, oh, that's a queer human. Like the sky is blue, grass is green.
It's all the buttons, so that's
all the buttons. As of late, I think I have started to stop asking, like, stop trying to assign meaning to everything, and to say, okay, this feels right, this doesn't feel as comfortable. This feels like more in touch with like what's going on the inside, so things like painting my nails, coloring my hair. I actually have a friend of mine who's going to teach me how to like do my eyebrows.
Nice.
And, like, fill them in a little bit more, because they're a little weak towards the outside.
We're not judging.
I looked into microblading. It is too expensive. So as of late, it's been asking the question, was like, okay, well, if I don't really feel like a dude, but I'm not quite a lady, what does that mean for me? And so it's been like, I've been like, okay, well, that I guess would fall into a genderqueer category. And so exploring what the term genderqueer is and what that can mean, because the more I'm exploring like the genderqueer universe, it's like, it's not I don't even see it as a spectrum. It's like a fucking cosmos.
Yep.
Sorry, you can bleep that out later.
No, it's okay. I think you're right. I think we've moved from the point, like we had sort of the Kinsey scale for sexuality, and then we kind of thought like, okay, gender is also sort of a spectrum. But in reality, it's much more, like, we are 3D people living in 3D space, so it's much more of a constellation than it is a spectrum. In some ways, for what you were saying, Matthias, was like, there's, some days where I feel like I'm kind of like, because I have a beard, and I like my beard, and I still identify with my body. Like, I don't experience much dysphoria. And especially not to the degree of a trans individual,
but there is certain things about my presentation that like I feel more at home in my body when I can paint my nails, or I feel more in my body like if I can like do a little bit of makeup before I go out, and again, I also will recognize the privilege I have of living in Atlanta, which is it's a pretty queer friendly city depending on the part of the city you're in. And I think my favorite moment that I've ever had, it was one day like I just got my hair dyed. I had like, you know, I put on a face and I had my nails done and I went to work, and the person at the register, they said, "How are you doing, sir?" "I mean, ma'am. I mean, what pronouns do you prefer?" And I was like,
perfect response.
I was like, this is great. Being someone who's like experiencing some sort of like gender fluidity or gender queerness, but still mostly being read as male can be frustrating because I don't even know what to do with it sometimes, because there's like this pressure to conform to a certain way of doing things. Yeah. And so it's like if I'm not, because like I also know like, you know, the more I move towards like a more feminine aesthetic, the more pressure there can be, or the more issues there can be from being a queer human in the world.
Right, it's true. It's true. I want to ask you both one more question, and that is like, if you could pick one thing that you love about like your version of masculinity, like what's your favorite masculine, like not necessarily like an attribute, but something about masculinity that you're like, yeah, that's me. Is there something like that for you? And then what's your like least favorite thing about masculinity?
I think for me, something that has like really helped me step into myself more has been, I like hired a personal trainer last year, and have started going to the gym, which was a very intimidating place for me. And like as I've stepped into that, and as I've seen my body kind of transform through that, and see things, like I like my body so much more as I start to present in a more maybe stereotypical masculine way. I really like that.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I hate the most, and this might sound kind of up in the sky or like an easy answer, but like I know there are times that I notice that my blindness, realizing those times I realize, and I'm sure there's so many more times that I don't realize, but knowing that because I identify as a male, I've always identified as male, I've been enculturated as a male, there are major things that I miss. Like there are times that I'll like be in the middle of a conversation and all of a sudden realize like, wait a second, like I am doing that thing that like I hate that men do, and like here I am doing it, and
I do that too.
Totally. Like, I mean, we all do, and like, so I think.
Not me, I'm perfect. Thank God I'm just like an emissary for the Lord here. To deliver you sinners from your own toxic masculinity.
What do you think, Kevin?
My favorite thing about being a dude. For me at least, one of like my favorite things, at least about like my appearance, is like I really do like the fact that I can grow a beard. Like,
I wish I could.
Yeah. I really do enjoy that part of me, which is like purely aesthetic and like maybe a little silly, but just like it works for me, because like me without a beard, I kind of look like a man baby. The thing I don't like about it is like how scared I am to actually try certain things, to be honest. There are certain things I would really love to do, like I have like certain 2018 goals. Like I would like to do drag for the first time. I'm talking like, and actually like, shave the beard and like get my face beat for the gods and
straight RuPaul.
Yeah, you know, problematic faves. So I think it's like because there is the expectation within masculinity to like, this is what it looks like, and it looks like a six-pack and a nice chest and dope arms, and you know, never ever going outside of that box. So I think within my own exploration, like I don't want to be afraid to be myself, because I think like within this exploration, it's going to unlock a lot of things for myself that probably have always been there, and that I am looking forward to kind of like bringing forth.
Thanks for sharing, both of you. Where can people find your stuff? Because you both have podcasts and you're both all over the internet. So where are you?
You can find all of my work at thekevingarcia.com. That's THE, kevingarcia.com. I have a podcast called A Tiny Revolution, where we talk to ordinary people living revolutionary lives. And then I've got a YouTube channel, which
I will link, and we did a video over there already.
Yeah, we've already done a video over there, so like about Austin's new book called Transforming.
Yeah, it's true. And I've also, if you are into podcasts and you want to hear more of my voice, I did a podcast episode with Kevin. So
and pretty soon they're going to be on Matthias' podcast, which is what?
Queerology. You can find all of my work. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. On my website, Matthias Roberts, so just my name across everywhere. Queerology, a podcast on belief in being, available wherever you get your podcasts, and then that's on Twitter and Instagram at QueerologyPod.
Yeah, and I'm going to be talking with Matthias not that long from now, like 2 weeks or something like that.
A couple weeks. It's going to be
so it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And Queerology is great in general. Both of your podcasts are awesome, and I listen to them all the time.
Aww.
So... all right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being with us today, and we will see you back here next time. Peace.
Bye.